Coming up today, a behind the scenes look at Freddie Mac's new dynamic URAR and the limited production rollout of UAD 3.6. We'll also preview Scott's panel at Val Expo about the home loan cycle from loan origination to appraisal inspection to closing. Stick around.
Solidify is one of the nation's most trusted valuation and title partners. With their proprietary technology and extensive network, Solidify delivers industry-leading quality, transparency, efficiency, and scale to the largest mortgage lenders in the U.S. Their marketplace of independent, qualified field professionals makes the homeownership experience extraordinary every time. Visit solidify.com for more information and stay connected with their latest news on LinkedIn. You're listening to the Appraisal Buzzcast with your host, Hal Humphreys.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's Appraisal Buzzcast. Let me bring back in Hal, your host, Hal Humphreys. Hey, Hal, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jim. It is awfully hot in Tennessee today, but other than that, I'm doing fantastic.
Well, it's going to get even hotter when we go to Vegas in a week, so count your stars. So we're joined today by one of our favorite guests, Scott Reuter. He's the chief appraiser at Freddie Mac, and Scott's on the forefront of this new URAR and the UAD 3.6 rollout, and he'll be talking at Valuation Expo on a panel titled Home Loan Cycle End-to-End with the new UAD. Hal and Scott, let's take it away.
Scott, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We appreciate you joining us. I know this is not necessary, but can you start by telling our listeners about your role at Freddie Mac and how it relates to the form redesign and data set update? And I know when I say form redesign should be said no more forms. But what is your role in all of this?
So thank you. First, appreciate the invite. Jim touched on it. My technical role, chief appraiser and single family director of valuation at Freddie Mac. And to your question, really in terms of I'm part of a larger team that has been focused on a variety of things. Very central to a lot of our efforts over the last number of years has been the UAD redesign. And there's kind of an external and internal component to that. For external, our team has been engaged with stakeholders across the industry. This is appraisers, lenders, vendors, AMCs, government agencies, professional and trade organizations, to mention a few, in terms of what this redesign and this data set and data standard, the impacts and what it's going to mean. And then there's a lot of internal work too. And I know it doesn't really directly impact the broader industry and stakeholders, but just for awareness, there's been an awful lot of work by the larger and the joint UAD team. Fannie and Freddie collaborated that we needed to work to ensure that we were meeting timely completion of deliverables. And then our collateral policy team, there is a complete guide rewrite that is taking place, mostly around the reference to form numbers. You can't imagine, maybe you can imagine how many times we reference form numbers in our current written policy. So that's all changing. We can't tell you to get a 1004 or form 70. It now has to be worded differently. So that work has been underway as well.
Very good. Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae will begin limited production of UAD 3.6 and the new URAR starting September 8 of this year, 2025. What does that limited production period mean for lenders, appraisers, and technology providers?
Great question. I think the limited production is not really necessarily a test environment. It's a chance for those who are involved early to actually be in a production environment. These are our lenders, our vendors, and appraisers. This is really prior to the new UAD being available to its broad industry availability. Appraisers who are involved, to your question, can have a chance to check the UAD 3.6 compliance rules that are embedded in their software before sending the report, and a lot of the functionality for just being able to receive an order, complete a report, push send, us receive it, and be able to ingest it on our side. The goal, how I know you and I've had these conversations as well, is to hopefully reduce revisions for appraisers, minimize review times, and increase the productivity. So I think this, in a nutshell, gives early adopters a chance to just get their hands on this. And one of the things that the joint team, both Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, are providing is receive a lot of hands-on kind of high-touch support from the GSEs as we transition to 3.6, because obviously we have a lot invested in its success, and early adopters, vendors, and appraisers will play an important part of that.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. U83 3.6 introduces this dynamic, data-driven URAR. Two-part question. How is this different from the forms that we're used to, and what are the most important structure and data changes appraisers should be prepared for?
Right. I think to that first part, in terms of moving away from static forms, I think my view, Kana, that's going to be one of the bigger items, right? We've been in a forms environment for so long. I think the answer of what that's going to look like is it's going to be more property and assignment driven in terms of information to help drive the request, not necessarily a form number. You bump into any appraiser, they're used to, what do you charge for a 1004? What do you charge for Form 70? So that's going to be dramatically different. Structurally, I think from an appraiser point of view, it's going to be more discrete data. So less freeform text, not no ability to add freeform text, but less freeform text, no more addenda. We'll get to that maybe in a little bit in terms of where an appraiser can comment. But the overarching theme is that the appraisers will have the ability to tell most of their story utilizing discrete data and discrete data elements. And it helps to reduce the subjectivity and to enhance the impartial role that we appraisers do play.
Yeah. Now, Freddie Mac has just released updated collateral feedback messages for Loan Collateral Advisor and UCDP aligned with UAD 3.6. What are the key feedback changes appraisers can expect?
So, a point of clarification, which, appraisers do not get the feedback messages directly. Our sellers or our lenders do. The lender feedback that appraisers will see will not be limited, firstly, just to single family and condo. It'll be all property types. So the current environment just fires on single family and condos. They'll be able to fire across all property types. The new feedback messages are designed to align with the UAD 3.6 rules. So you'll have a new and improved SSR, the submission summary report. So the new SSR will be in both PDF and JSON formats, so it'll be machine readable, and includes many findings in 3 different buckets: system findings, UAD compliance findings, and then any Freddie Mac proprietary findings. So it'll have the ability to identify whether or not you completely correctly formatted all the files, whether or not there are any compliance issues or concerns, or whether there's anything in the report that may not meet Freddie Mac requirements. So that'll be some of that functionality you'll see there.
Okay. Not very far away, Val Expo is coming up at Caesar's Palace. You're going to be part of a panel called Home Loan Cycle, End to End with the new UAD. It's kind of a full journey for the UAD. What are the top takeaways you're preparing to share with attendees on how the new URAR will impact each stage of the mortgage process?
That's going to be a good session. So I'm glad you asked and appreciate the invitation there. It sounds like from our prep conversations, it's going to be a discussion. So I think, and the goal is, and hopefully the attendees will find it engaging. And I think we're going to start by kind of discussing the benefits across the mortgage life cycle in general, how and where the UAD fit in, and how a redesigned UAD helps to bring and provide greater clarity to lenders, investors, and borrowers. We're going to touch on a bit of the why behind the project in general, which I think is helpful. It was clearly driven by the GSEs. We collaborated, Fannie and Freddie, under the direction of our regulator, and just really kind of set that stage in terms of why the new data elements and how important they are to really help give us a better line of sight and more consistency into our ability to manage risk. I've said many times publicly, an appraisal helps inform a risk decision. And I think the more clarity, the more standardized data elements, and the more robust data set we can put in the hands of appraisers can really help us and enhance that important role that we have in terms of managing risk.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Software vendors are all deep in the process of updating how their software works. What should appraisers be asking their vendors to ensure a smooth
Yeah.
transition to the new data set and report?
All of our partners have been working very hard, and the vendors have been working very hard. And I think, and just succinctly, I would encourage appraisers to, if they haven't done so already, just reach out to your software provider and kind of ask them about their readiness and what you can expect and begin that dialogue. I think that's going to be the biggest part of that transition, or that smooth transition, that we can help ensure, and just keep those lines of communication open.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Now, this has been talked about in the appraisal space for quite some time now. Have you noticed any myths or misunderstandings around, aboard, about, above, across UAD 3.6 or the new URAR that appraisers need to let go of? Any myths or misunderstandings that you're seeing kind of out there in the world?
Well, one that, yes, and I hear them and I see them. Many are sent to me, and the appraiser in me appreciates the sentiment behind a lot of the concern, the search for information, some of the misinformation that some are just kind of continuing to spread. But one myth that comes to mind is that since the addenda are going away, I mentioned earlier, right, you're not going to have an addenda. So if you're an appraiser about my age and you've got 30 plus years, you're used to adding or having that ability to add whatever commentary you want in a general addenda. So I think there's a sense that that's going away. I'm not going to be able to explain anything. And I think although the addendum is going away, appraisers will absolutely have the ability to provide commentary in the new UAD. And the good news is it'll be associated in the section where it's relevant. So now we've got kind of the older structure, which we've kind of continued to carry forward and use. And if you have something you want to elaborate on, it happens a lot in appraisals. Appraisers, really, to their defense, they don't have anywhere else to put this commentary. So they'll, see addendum and they'll place it somewhere in the addendum. It's a little frustrating for the reader of the report, the consumer, the lender, the review appraiser, the secondary, wherever that's going to land, only because every appraiser handles it a little bit differently. But the good news is, if the appraiser chooses to provide some commentary in addition to identifying what they were able to identify with discrete data, they're able to associate it right there in the report. And I've used the example of if there's a shared driveway or a complex easement, or there's something the appraiser really wants to give another couple sentences of color to, they absolutely can do that. So that's one myth that kind of comes to mind, but I'll probably think of more that I'll have ready by Expo. But
All right, Scott Reuter, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I do want to do this real quick. I need to take a break and hear from one of our sponsors, and we will be right back.
Intercorp, a division of Norman Spencer, has your back. Comprehensive insurance coverage from a team that's always there when you need them. The team at Norman Spencer is ready to roll up our sleeves and dig into your toughest insurance questions. We're committed to appraisers and AMCs. Intercorp's programs are tailored specifically for the appraisal industry. Put our experience to work for you. Please contact Susan Lomelli, Lomeli, at norman-spencer.com to discuss your insurance needs.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Appraisal Buzzcast. I'm Hal Humphreys, your host. I'm joined today by my good friend Scott Reuter over at Freddie Mac, talking about UAD 3.6 in some kind of general terms. Scott's going to be joining us at Val Expo very shortly after this podcast airs. Scott, I will tell you that Jim Morrison likes to hit me with these anonymous appraiser questions, and I'm hoping he maybe lets us off the hook today. Jim Morrison, do we have an anonymous appraiser question?
No anonymous appraiser question today. If anybody has any questions for a future episode, reach out to us at comments@appraisalbuzz.com. But if anyone wants to ask Scott some questions, you can go and see him at Valuation Expo, ask him questions on site, listen to him speak. We're looking forward to a great show.
am I allowed to walk on a question? One that we're hearing a lot.
Yeah.
Please do.
So, well, yeah, one of the things that I was hoping we would touch on, and I think it's very fair from an appraiser point of view. We see a lot of appraisers commenting, some on social media kind of going the wrong way about, how am I going to work in the new environment? And a lot of practical questions in terms of, I can't use my old templates and I can't do, how do I do my inspection? Can I do it the way I'm kind of used to doing it? And I would just say very succinctly, I would encourage folks to leverage technology wherever they can to their benefit. And I would say if you're accustomed to doing inspections, I'm going to call it the old-fashioned way, the way I was trained and did them until I left the field, was, you take notes, you come back, and then you populate the form. I think that's going to be difficult. From what I understand, it's going to be very difficult in the new UAD. The new UAD lends itself much more to opportunities to help automate the process. And I would just say to my fellow appraisers and my appraiser friends, be open to leveraging some of this technology and helping enjoy and find some of the efficiency it can bring to the process. So.
Absolutely great advice, Scott. Thank you here's the thing, when Scott Reuter comes on the show, we always get more than we expect in terms of useful information for us as appraisers. Scott, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be here with us today. Jim Morrison, do we have anything else that I need to cover?
That's it. We've covered it all. Thank you so much, Scott. We're looking forward to seeing you soon.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
And if that's all we have, for Scott Reuter and Jim Morrison, I'm Hal Humphreys, and that is your Appraisal Buzzcast for this week. To our listeners, don't miss Scott's panel at Val Expo and be ready for the limited production starting September 8, 2025, just shortly after Val Expo.